Ladies and gentlemen, the following episode is scheduled for one fall. Coming down the aisle are your hosts of In The Kliq, Baby Huey and Ryan Tronic.
What's up, everybody? For 107.7 The Bone, Baby Huey here, back at it for a very special episode of In The Kliq. And it's a new year, and recently, AEW revealed a new look to the sets for both of their flagship shows, AEW Dynamite, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on TBS, and AEW Rampage, Fridays at 10 p.m. on TNT. And joining me to talk all about it is the founder, co-owner, president, CEO, and GM of All Elite Wrestling, Tony Khan. How's it going, Tony?
I'm doing great, Hugh. Thanks for having me on the show today, man.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be talking to you again. I can't wait for AEW to make its debut in San Francisco this March, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And if my math is correct, this is our fourth time talking to each other. I love that you're becoming a regular guest on this show. Every time you're on, there's always so much to talk about. First things first, man, I love the new TV set for Dynamite and Rampage. You got the big screens now at the entranceway for when the wrestlers come out. So I'm just curious, how did the whole concept for the new design come together?
Well, we have a great design team, and they showed me some concepts, and we sat down and put together what you see now, what you'll see tomorrow night on TBS on Wednesday Night Dynamite, live from Fresno. We do the show live every Wednesday on TBS, plus we're on every Friday on TNT, and we wanted to give the fans a new look to the show. And I thought that presentation would be something very cool. I really like that color pattern. It's consistent with most of the big sporting leagues like the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, all kind of use that similar color scheme. And I thought it would make a lot of sense for AEW.
And you're referring to the red and blue and the white, kind of like the lights and like the lasers for like the entrance and everything. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly, yeah. And, that logo, like you said, the red, white, and blue, whether it's the American flag, the NBA, the Major League Baseball, or the NFL, it's a consistent color theme and consistent with a lot of the top sports leagues. And AEW now has become one of the top sporting leagues in the world. We're on in over 150 countries. Our TV ratings have been up in 2022, not just in America, but overseas. Mm-hmm. And we've got this great fan base we've built over the years. And I'm finally coming to the San Francisco area. We got a big Bay Area pay-per-view. You've been asking me for so long when we're going to bring a huge event there. And it's finally happening March 5th, AEW Revolution. It's coming to the Chase Center, mm-hmm. and it's going to be a huge week of action. We're actually going to be around the Bay Area all week. We're also going to do Wednesday Night Dynamite and Friday Night Rampage in the Bay Area, and then move to the Chase Center for the big pay-per-view. So that week, the first week in March, AEW is going to take over your town, and so I'm sure I'll see you then.
Yeah, no, I'm totally looking forward to that. Actually, yeah, I applied for the press credentials last week, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, so as you said, AEW Dynamite and Rampage will be at the Cow Palace, also in San Francisco, Wednesday, March 1st and Friday, March 3rd, respectively. You can get tickets right now at AEWTix.com. I'm super excited. I'm just throwing it out there, Tony. I know Thursday and Saturday are open nights. So if you're wanting to hang out, I'm totally down to take you around town, around San Francisco. So I'd love to do something like that, hang out with you.
Well, I'm booked Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday I'm booked for sure, and Thursday might be good. Saturday I'm booked because my friend Jack Whitehall is doing stand-up in town, which is one of those great things that worked out. My best friend's doing stand-up in between Rampage on Friday and the pay-per-view on Sunday Night Revolution, so that worked out real well for us. But I would love to see you when I'm there, and we'll definitely get you hooked up with a credential. It's going to be great.
Awesome. Okay, looking forward to that. So, going back to the whole new look and presentation for AEW, I know last month you hired Mike Mansouri as AEW's new senior vice president and co-executive producer. So, in his short time with the company, how much involvement has he had with the new set, and what can fans expect from him and his role with AEW? And are you able to kind of share what his vision for the company is?
Absolutely. Mike comes in with a ton of experience in TV production. Now, a lot of that set and those elements had actually been designed before Mike arrived. Mm-hmm. But as far as integrating the new set, Mike's been essential. And as far as any future developments, he's also going to be essential. He's a big part of the TV presentation, and Mike's going to help us run a first-class production every week. I think we've had great shows. We had already done probably about 165 episodes, maybe a little bit more before Mike showed up. Now we're at 171 episodes of AEW Dynamite, which is amazing. And episode 172 is tomorrow night, live Wednesday Night Dynamite in Fresno. I'm very excited for it. And what we've seen since Mike came in, he's helped us really make the production smoother. I think the most important thing on a wrestling show is the wrestling matches. And Mike has so much experience shooting the best wrestlers. And frankly, I think Mike has probably more insight and more experience in different facets of the production than anybody else you could have hoped to bring in. So I just really think he's going to be a great addition to the team we have. And check out the show tomorrow night, Wednesday Night Dynamite. You'll see, I think, a really slick first-class wrestling show. And, he's a big part of that.
Yeah, no, totally. Dynamite's just been on fire lately, and just, I've been loving everything you guys been doing. And, I do want to look back at 2022, the whole year. And, I check out other wrestling shows and podcasts, and I think the consistent conclusion people had at the end of the year was Jon Moxley was definitely the MVP for you guys, but just arguably the pro wrestler of the year for 2022. So I would love to hear from your perspective, what Jon Moxley has meant for the company, and also what would you want fans to remember him for, like his legacy, especially this body of work he did in 2022?
Well, 2022, Jon Moxley was certainly MVP for AEW in so many ways. He was a great world champion throughout the year. Also, really came back at the very beginning of the year after he took some time off to get his personal life in order and get his health in order. And he has come back better than ever, looking better than ever. His motivation is through the roof. And week in, week out, Jon Moxley's having the best matches. And he is consistently, to me, doing the best work of his entire career. And it's amazing because when AEW launched, Jon Moxley was a huge part of it. Our very first event we ever did, Jon Moxley showed up at the end and raised hell. And ever since then, Jon Moxley has really been a big part of the show. But this year in particular, he stepped up, had some of his best matches, and no matter what was happening in the company, week in, week out in 2022, you could count on Jon Moxley to really be a leader in AEW and be one of the top stars. And going forward now, he is really in quite an intense rivalry with Hangman Page. Last week they had an amazing rematch now, and this thing has gotten very intense. It started out as being a wrestling rivalry, and the two men have gone out and just beaten the heck out of each other, and really on Wednesday nights and Friday nights made it real anticipation for the fans to see these two lock up and fight. They're two of the great stars from the very beginning of AEW, Moxley and Hangman Page. And I think fans are really excited to see what happens next with those two guys. And boy, Jon Moxley and Hangman Page both have been, I think, two of the most important people since we started AEW, and I think still the case, two of the most important people in the company.
Absolutely, and I love hearing that. Yeah, big fan of Jon Moxley and everything, and especially that match last week with Hangman was incredible. Listen, I feel like I have to ask you, especially it's been in the news last week, your name, especially and your dad. There were, what's going on with the other company right now, and there were some reports coming out that you and your father were interested in potentially buying, WWE. Are you able to kind of just give us an update for the fans on, where that's at right now?
Well, it's a great question. I can't say too much about that except to say that my dad and I are often exploring acquisitions, often exploring investments in the world of sports, and certainly in the world of pro wrestling. I think we've shown we're open to making acquisitions. We're open to making big investments. And this is one of those situations where I probably don't want to say too much and probably shouldn't say too much, except to say that, we're very interested in what's happening and watching it very closely. And if there's a process, we'd like to be a part of it.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see what happens next. And, I do want to touch on, also another report that came out last week. There was an article in the Dallas magazine about Sting. And in the article, it revealed that he plans on retiring after his contract expires this year. So are you just able to kind of confirm this? And have you had a chance to talk to Sting and, maybe thought about talk with him, what your plans are for him this year?
Yeah, I talked to Sting a lot. And he is somebody who has been such a huge boost to AEW since he arrived. Sting debuted a little over 2 years ago at the first Winter is Coming event in AEW, and now Sting will see him tomorrow night on TBS. He'll be in the corner of the TNT champion Darby Allin wrestling on TBS on Wednesday, and I catch up with him pretty frequently on a regular basis, and I have to say, Sting's motivation for pro wrestling is as high as it's ever been. He loves what he's doing. And I do think, he's starting to think about what retirement will look like, but he's also not slowing down at all in the present. So, I'm not ready to say exactly when Sting is going to hang it up, but I do know every time we get to see Sting go out there in AEW, it's very special, and tomorrow night I'm excited to see Sting again. And anytime he's out there with the fans, it means a lot to them. I know for me as a wrestling fan, being in his presence, every time I see him, I get chills. And I think it's like that for a lot of people when they see the Stinger in AEW.
Awesome. Well, as a fan as well, I cannot wait to see how this final chapter plays out for him throughout the rest of the year. But also, speaking of which, Dax Harwood launched his podcast, FTR with Dax Harwood. And last week he did announce that you had discussion with him and granted FTR some time off for the next few months of this first part of 2023. And he said, let their bodies heal and they're going to figure out what's next for their career. So just want to get your thoughts and comments on this. How long have these talks been going on for, and will we see FTR back in AEW this year?
Well, I do hope to see FTR back. They need some time to recover from what was one of the most intense years of wrestling any team's ever done. The schedule they went through, all the different places they worked. They worked all over and won championships all over the world. This is a team that competed in AEW, but also competed at the top of Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, they were defending championships all over the world, all over the U.S., in London, Japan, and in Mexico as the AAA Lucha Libre champs. So they really were globetrotters, but these were, in addition to being hard-hitting wrestling matches, they went through all kinds of stuff, including this barbaric dog collar match at Ring of Honor Final Battle against the Briscoe brothers. That was, to me, one of the most savage, barbaric wrestling matches I've ever seen. And that was for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship. And that was following up on a lot of other crazy matches for FTR. So I think for those guys, we want to see them back in AEW and want to see them heal up and come back at 100%. And we're really looking forward to that, hopefully. I think they're a great team, and we'd love to have them back.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to that as well. I know we're running out of time, but also just want to touch on last week's episode of Dynamite was awesome, just action-packed. And one of the big exciting moments was the big surprise return of Adam Cole, baby. He came out to the ring and, cut this amazing promo and just pretty much, called out the entire locker room. But before that, he was touching on just how tough the last 6 months were for him with the shoulder injury and the concussion. So it seemed like it was pretty close. He was worried that maybe at one point he was going to have to retire. So I just for you, I'm sure you kept, close contact with him over that last 6 months. Just how was that process, and, how close was he maybe not returning to the ring?
Well, I don't think he ever ruled it out, but certainly it was very challenging recovery. And there were points where I'm sure he had to question if he was going to make it back, or what he was putting himself through, because like he said, I mean, he didn't leave the house to do anything but brain therapy. Mm-hmm. He wanted it so bad. He wants it so bad to come back to AEW, to get back in the ring and wrestle for the fans on Wednesdays on TBS, Fridays on TNT. That's his dream. And for us, it's a dream come true having Adam Cole be a part of the AEW roster. And it's very exciting that he's getting closer and closer to making a comeback. It's a really inspirational story, and people don't even know the half of it yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for people to find out more about what Adam Cole's been through.
Gotcha. Well, listen, Tony, I know we're running out of time, but I just do want to mention, just remind the listeners, get your tickets for when AEW comes to San Francisco, finally makes their big debut. Going to be super exciting. Wednesday, March 1st and Friday, March 3rd, Dynamite and Rampage will be at the Cow Palace. And then on Sunday, March 5th at the Chase Center, AEW Revolution, big pay-per-view, AEWTix.com. So yeah, Tony, just us fans here in the Bay Area who haven't had a chance to see AEW in person, what can we expect for when you guys finally come to town?
Well, you're going to get our biggest and best. The AEW Revolution Pay-per-View is year in, year out, one of the biggest events in all of pro wrestling. It has at times been the best wrestling show of the entire year. And this year, it very well could be again. 2023, our first pay-per-view, where we start out hot with this Revolution show in San Francisco at the Chase Center. It's going to be massive, and what a great way to make our debut with these two big TV shows at the Cow Palace and the biggest pay-per-view you're going to see. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be at the Chase Center. It's Sunday, March 5th. Please check it out. It's called Revolution. And tomorrow night, we've got Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS. We'll be in Fresno. It'll be a great opportunity for the fans, if you can check it out on TV tomorrow night, to get a look at what you could see in the Bay Area when we come there live. And also, we just appreciate the people who watch the show, whether you watch on TV, cable, streaming, satellite, however you watch it. It really helps us out a lot when you watch a show on Wednesday like tomorrow night or on Friday. So please, we would love to have you come to the show live. And frankly, we would also love to have you join us tomorrow night on TBS.
Awesome.
And I really appreciate you giving me the chance to plug these shows here time in, time out. Like you said, I think it's our fourth time doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep getting a better rhythm, a better rapport. So we're we're really getting good at this, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I've talked to Jericho so many times. I've joked on the air, he's my celebrity best friend, but I might have to make a case for you, man. You might be my new best friend now. I'm just throwing it out there, but no, I look forward when AEW comes to town and, doing all the festivities there, the press junket, all that stuff. So I'll be the big 6'4" guy who calls himself Baby Huey. So when we meet in person, you'll be like, oh, that's you. So I will stand out like a sore thumb. So,
I'm excited to see you in person, man. I'm excited to see what all this hype's about, sir. And like I said, I may be your new celebrity best friend. So thanks for having me on, and I'll see you tomorrow night on TBS, sir. Thanks for having me again.
Awesome, Tony. Thank you so much for making the time, and I'll see you in March. Okay.
I'll see you in March in person, and I'll see you tomorrow night on TBS virtually.
Awesome. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, Hugh.
There you have it. Thank you again to Tony Khan for being on the show. Remember to watch AEW Dynamite every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. live on TBS and AEW Rampage every Friday night at 10 p.m. live on TNT. AEW Dynamite will be at the Cow Palace in San Francisco on Wednesday, March 1st. AEW Rampage will also be at the Cow Palace on Friday, March 3rd. And AEW Revolution will be at the Chase Center in San Francisco on Sunday, March 5th. Tickets for all three shows are on sale now through AEWTix.com and etix.com. For more info, go to AllEliteWrestling.com. You can follow Tony Khan on Twitter at Tony Khan and Instagram at Tony R. Khan. Make sure to follow AEW on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube as well. All right, Kliqsters, let's go home now. Remember to subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're also on a ton of other major podcast platforms. Help the show out by rating, reviewing, leave a comment, and share the podcast. Subscribe to In The Kliq's YouTube page, watch the videos, hit the like button, and leave a comment. Please follow In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for @InTheKliq. Email us at intthekliq@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for tuning in and for all the support. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.